Today I'm going to talk about listening to yourself, listening to your inner self. So no matter what's going on externally, no matter where you are, no matter who you're with, no matter what you're doing and who you're listening to, even what you are reading. When you're shopping, listen to your inner self. So if you go to the grocery store and you're getting the essentials that are needed, or just bits and pieces, listen to your inner self. And when you're on a journey, listen to yourself. Just become aware of your inner process in all circumstances. And when you're in the company of other people, listen to your inner self. You get invited to go out. Listen to yourself. You're planning and preparing for a meeting or seeing somebody before you even meet up. Listen to yourself. What is that inner dialogue telling you? Are you rushing? What's the truth within you? It's surprising because there's a great deal of influence in society about having to be a certain way and look a certain way and dress a certain way. It's all about visual. It's all about assets and materialism. And then of course there's the rebels. Now where I live is a wilderness on my doorstep, so I'm not going to be wearing my finery and high heels, stilettos, all suited up. As you can hear the birds in the background, it's all very peaceful. At this particular moment, I think a lot of people will be at home or preparing, whether pick up their children, or there are occasional people out, but it's a nice time and it's not raining. But just taking a few minutes relaxation and some fresh air while I'm out and sharing you on my journey. So listening to ourselves, quite often many people are worried about whether they will be accepted, whether they're good enough. While aware of their thoughts and feelings, trying to brave themselves and put on a brave front. And for quite a chunk of our lives we're conditioned to behave in a certain way and do certain things and achieve certain things and go through school, college, university, get together with somebody, have a family. Although it doesn't always work out quite as people plan, because a lot of people, they've had the family and the relationships broken up, and they started off in a particular career and they're doing something totally different, and that's okay. It's okay if it's your choice. It's not so okay if you planned a certain career and you were forced to do something else. However, if I may say this, is somebody who's speaking from experience. Whatever we learn and achieve in life doesn't go to waste. In all the life lessons, it doesn't go to waste. It serves a greater purpose. I didn't plan to come and pick up a recording device and trundle along here to be talking and sharing some understanding or even thoughts that are going through my mind at the time. I must admit, it's incredibly peaceful without the dog barking. And it's lovely because I'm not so far away from home. So if I want to be by myself and be in the wilderness, I can be. So while I'm thinking about the message I want to share today, are you living your life according to the truth that's within you? A lot of people are very stressed out and they're suffering with depression, and they keep trying to push forward and placing more pressure on themselves. So what happens is, while a moment of experience might bring a change, the pressure doesn't go away, therefore the depression doesn't go away, because the cause of the depression is never identified and never healed. So we can have two types of depression, two causes. One by overwhelming circumstances and trauma, trying to cope. So an external factor has contributed, or factors contribute to the mind and body being able to cope, feeling overwhelmed for such a long time that there is a reaction. And then there is depression, where if we tell ourselves continually that we can't do something and we are feeling depressed and we're not good enough and what's the point? Or other people even seeing them that they're better than who we are, and we undermine ourselves. Maybe it's through learned experience, or maybe it's just how you feel because you feel quite sad at the time. So I'd like to look at something else. I'd like you to become more aware of the truth that you tell yourself, whatever that may be. And let's have a look how we can possibly take steps to try and change something that isn't bringing you in a place where you can build something positive, nurturing and healing. So let's assume that you can walk. And if you cannot walk and you need a walking aid, like a walking stick or crutches, you're included too. And if you're in a wheelchair, perhaps you can use your hands, or you've got an electric wheelchair, or somebody can take you in the wheelchair somewhere. That you can get out in nature, whether it's in a forest on a nature trail, country park where there's already pathways made, perhaps on a scenic route or somewhere by the ocean, but out of your everyday space. So wherever you're living, so if you're living in a city, it might be in a park. If you've got access to a vehicle, to go a little bit further away. Some people may choose to go on a train or go out in the car for a drive somewhere. Might choose to take a backpack and go cycling out. And that decision to go somewhere is a step into breaking the thoughts that you might be thinking at home. You've made a decision to go somewhere and do something. You're not thinking about what you've got to do, and try not to think about what you've got to do. Bring your thoughts into what you would like to do. Many people meditate, and they meditate not just for the psychological processing and slowing down or speeding up, or even positive affirmations that are said within meditation, but just to be quiet within and listen to the breath, just to be still and let go of everything. But if you can mindfully let go of those negative thoughts and the burdens that have been put on you, and especially the burdens that you put on yourself, and just breathe. With ease, if you need to take deep breaths and let go, just breathe and let go. Just breathing in and releasing stress and tension as you're breathing out again. Become aware of the sounds around that you're listening to. And listening to your inner voice now. Taking a deep breath in. And releasing all the tension that you're feeling inside. Creating space within your being for the new, the inspired, creating space for you. Habitually, we put ourselves last when we are caught up at times when we have to do things, meeting expectations, meeting deadlines, getting our tasks done, building an endless to-do list, but carrying it all in our head instead of putting it down and keeping it out of our head. I'll talk about the to-do list another time. In this particular moment, bring your awareness to your surroundings. Stop where you are now for a moment. What do you hear? You see, here I can hear the dog barking and the birds and the crackling of the dead wood on the ground. And what can you see? The forming of the new leaves are here. A squirrel is playing among the trees. It's peaceful because despite houses being closed by and people at home doing whatever they're doing, where I am at this particular moment, there is absolutely nobody. And I am probably 100 feet from houses. So you don't need to go far. To get out in nature, if there are parks nearby. If you know there are busy times and there are quiet times, and you prefer the quiet times, choose the quiet times. It might be when people are going home to have something to eat, or the end of the day, and even very early morning. But the sound of nature and whether we are walking in a wheelchair, on a bicycle, the ground underneath our feet is full of new life. Already I'm seeing here the seeds of new trees that have planted themselves from the previous years, while there are trees that are old, not so big, but they appear dead. And nature sometimes has a way to clear the dead wood in our lives. As a reminder that life goes in a cycle of seasons. And sometimes it's easy to get stuck in a season that already passed by, even years ago. So instead of having one spring, the summer, the autumn and the winter, something happened within that season that caused life to stand still for a while. And that while might be a few days, a few months. It might be a season, and it might be complete years. It might even be decades where something happened to bring gridlock to our lives. But even though life is not completely lost, being stuck in a time warp because something happened that brought you to a standstill. It happened for a reason. And sometimes depression can take hold because we don't understand. Listening to our inner truth. So if you don't feel like you want to go out and meet new people, or even to go out and socialise, and if you've been stuck in a time warp of not listening to your truth and wondering what you really want, and you're by yourself, but you don't want to go into a relationship because it doesn't feel right for you and you're not ready, listen to yourself. Nobody's putting any pressure on you. But the friend who says, you know, more than anything, I would love to see you happy. I would love to see you with somebody who you really love, and vice versa. I would love to see you prosper. And some people need the other person in their life to build a life together. And some people are just dynamic because they're single and they can dedicate all their time and energy to what they want to do. A few years ago, I started listing qualities, not for a relationship, but the type of people I wanted in my life. Although, if I was going to be with somebody, I would like that person to have the qualities. And those qualities are not just about, I want this from another person. The qualities is the examination within and the discovery within of something that already exists. If you live in a stressful life and you really just want to have a peaceful life, a quiet life, a homely life, without drama, without arguments. And some people like arguing, they like being able to create the spark and excitement. But some people just want peace and quiet, and they want to be able to have conversations and share ideas and even just get to know each other and try and discover what there is. Get a bit of feedback, positive feedback. Now, not everybody's had that. Not everybody shares their inner truth. But by relationships and close friendships with emotional bonds, that's where we get to listen to our inner truth. And not everyone has these type of relationships. So relationships are an opportunity to discover what you want and what you don't want in life. Real relationships, real friendships. And you can meet people and it'll be only for a while. And then you part ways. And you can meet people and think that you want something more with them, or a closer friendship, or a closer relationship. Yet it's not happening. These are actually blessings in disguise. But I know of people who've felt really lonely. So I valued my alone time. But there was times when also I wanted to go out all the time, and I didn't want to come home, I didn't want to sleep. So I was using avoidant tactics. But I'm aware that there are people who feel profound loneliness, that is an ache in the heart, and in the soul. And that hole within, that's something that you're longing for within your being, can be filled with you. The part of you that has been put to the side for everybody else and everything else. Even your work, even meeting demands from other people. If you're putting everybody else first, eventually there comes a point where the inner you is making the inner you known to yourself, and whether that's an ache within. So some people might eat, or they might do something else, and they might try and numb that feeling within. We say, what are you hungering for? What are you really hungering for? What do you really want? What do you really need? When you wake up in the morning, what are the thoughts that you tell yourself about how you feel? Have you decided already what you're going to do today? Or have you looked at the day with dread to say, oh, it's another day. What can I do? Well, I'll tell you what you can do. You can do anything that you want to, anything that you decide to do. You have permission to live your life for you. You have permission to do something that you know that you will enjoy. Even like coming out. Even sitting quietly. Even picking up a book and getting lost in a book and enjoying the story and the lessons that are presented within that scenario that the author penned. And when you go to sleep at night, what's the last thing you tell yourself before you settle down to close your eyes? You may just close your eyes and just go to sleep. Or maybe you've said a prayer. Do you give yourself permission to sleep peacefully? Or is your mind active, worrying about what's going to happen? So our thoughts are given for a reason. And if we interrupt our negative thinking and saying we can't do something, and we might not be able to physically be able to do something, we might not have the ability to do something, surely we can do something. But to choose to live our life doing something that is pleasing within, to achieve something that gives a sense of satisfaction within, to go somewhere that breaks the cycle of the norm, to reach out to people in need. Might be an elderly person, might be someone else who's in a predicament in their life, Might be somebody who's homeless. Find out what their story is about. And some people do give up on life. They lose everything. And then when they have got nothing, they find out who they are. They find out themselves. And they won't go back to another life where they feel compromised, or doing something that they don't want to do, or be with somebody they don't want to be with. The outside can look in and say, that person is poor and that person's no good, and find all sorts of judgmental reasons without knowing anyone's inner truth, because nobody knows anyone's inner truth unless they communicate it in truth. There are people who are tremendously wealthy who are incredibly lonely and depressed. They're carrying pains that are unresolved. Some people are too scared to reach out and get help. They don't want to upset the apple cart. They don't want to break the status quo. There are people who have been oppressed and abused and terrorized, who are extremely wealthy and even seemingly powerful. They are powerful when they're more powerful than the abuser, but so is the person who has absolutely nothing, who believes that they are nothing, who's been abused and oppressed. Because the moment that we all say, enough is enough, that oppressive power loses its hold. Yeah, there might be intimidation tactics. I think the worst thing is if you've suffered greatly at the hand of somebody or a system, and you've actually had serious threats even to your life. If you speak out about it and rock the boat like I have, and of course I spoke out, but my speaking out, this is wrong, this shouldn't happen. But I've confronted some most grotesque abuses taking place by the systems in place, operated by perpetrators of abuse who work for the system. So either the system is flawed, or the people have become tyrannical abusers. If the system is flawed, eventually perhaps we'll see like what happened in Egypt and past kingdoms. But the structure is what it is. And just because the structure is what it is, we are not that structure. Just because you might have certain limitations, physical limitations or other limitations, doesn't mean that you are not you and you're not here for a greater purpose. And just because somebody's homeless and they seemingly have nothing, but they find out who they are and what they don't want in their life, because even if you don't know what you want in life yet, that you acknowledge within what you don't want in life, you're heading in the right direction. But if you're just going with the flow and accepting anything and allowing everything and everyone to come into your space, it's not always a good thing. You know, years ago we used to talk about acquaintances and friendships, and then close friends and family. the thing is, we like to be liked, we like to be appreciated, we want to hug people we care about, but if that hug isn't reciprocated or not wanted, it's not a good thing. There are people who show tremendous warmth when they're communicating, and then nothing. And it might be they're walking along, so it's like, hi, how are you? And then they go back to their sad place again. Is that a truth? Hi, how are you? Oh, I'm fine, I'm wonderful, I'm tremendous. A young girl that was suffering extreme depression told me that. And she's deflecting it fine, and that's a good thing in some ways, but not when silently suffering. And if you make the choices to always put on a brave fake front despite what you're feeling, and thoughts can affect feelings, the thing is there anything serious that has been unresolved that requires a healing need? That gets buried, and the danger is attracting something else that adds to the healing need. So life is weird. Life is very weird. It's strange, isn't it, that you can be really close friends with some people, and then you can know other people for so long and there is no connection. It's one thing to do things out of a sense of duty, but it's another to engage the heart. And if we don't engage our heart, are we really engaging ourselves? So life is what we make it. And if we listen to our inner truth, we better understand who we are. Not only do we better understand who we are, we better understand what we want, and we make wiser decisions in life to go for what we really want. And if it means just going out somewhere new or doing something that you wouldn't normally do, and getting a sense of achievement or satisfaction, or breaking the mundane cycle or the norm in your life, then at least you've had a shift in perspective. So may you have many days where you decide not to get caught into the doing what's expected of you, but doing what you really want to do. And what you've got to do, say for example it's for your job, may it be that you actually enjoy doing it and get a sense of satisfaction. Because the sense of satisfaction reinforces the positive within. And the motivation that we want to do more comes after we have that reward within. The external reward is a temporary fix, like a drug. So when you've had that, so you have a bar of chocolate as a reward, and then unless you get a bar of chocolate next time, you won't feel the same sense of satisfaction. But the internal motivation, the energy surge, wow, I did that, oh look, that looks really good, give yourself a pat on the back. That's what motivates people. Striving for something and doing it and going, wow, I didn't know I could do that. Well, I've done it. So, but today was a relaxing time. And hopefully this has actually helped to bring perspective.